Football Manager have just dropped the latest teaser video of FM26 and we are getting to see the match engine for the first time in all of its glory. We are seeing the graphical upgrades we were promised, and you know what? It looks pretty decent. So with that in mind, let's have a look at the teaser video together. I'll give you my thoughts, I'll give you my opinions. What do I see? What do I like? What do I still need a couple of answers on? And of course, let me know in the comments whatever you think about these new graphics. Has the wait been worth it? Okay, so we've got Football Manager's YouTube channel up and running. This is the video, Redefined Storytelling. That speaks to me already. First look at the Unity match engine in relative full flight. I suppose. And the reason I say relative full flight is because if you look in the bottom corner, opposite where my camera is, it says actual game footage, not final. Not final. So, as great as this looks, and this looks good by the way, this looks like a step up from FM24 already, there is a potential that maybe it might even end up looking even better by the time the game comes out, whenever that might be. We don't know what version of a build this is. Like, this could be close to final, this could be early, no idea whatsoever. But even in whatever shape it is, it's a huge step up from FM24. The lighting looks great, the new camera angles look really interesting, the licensed kits, of course, throughout the video look class. Some things that we probably should look at as we go through include things like this. So stadium, of course, we know you can't have licensed football stadium in the game. Now, I'm sure Sports Interactive have already posted out about why. I think it was Zachary had mentioned it previously, maybe on Twitter or something, saying that you can't get the stadium licenses. It's not as easy as getting like a club license, because the clubs don't have the licenses for the stadiums. The stadiums are licensed by the architects and the designers. So if someone's done the stadium all at once, then that's one architect, presumably, who's got that license. But if you are doing stadium upgrades, then maybe the license holder might be for one stand, and then that might not be the same license holder as someone who's done the other 3 stands, or, you know what I mean? So it just becomes so much more difficult to navigate around who has the license for the stadium likeness. So what is interesting, I mean, it does look a little bit better already. We've got these corners filled in. Now, I don't know whether this is going to look the same when we get down into the sort of leagues that I play in, which is, you know, the sort of like one tier of a stand, and then that's it. You know, maybe you get the burger van, maybe you get the car park in the background, what looks like an old prison or a library or something. You know, we'll see what it looks like as we go through. But first impressions for Premier League level stadium looks pretty good. I don't know whether or not all these individual fan animations are gonna sort of like be better than they are in FM24. I think already lighting wise we look better than we did in FM24. There's an interesting one here with regards to this one here, when we just move that on ever so slightly there. That shadow that just hangs over this stadium here. I mean, that's going to get in your way a little bit, isn't it? But it is pretty cool. It's there. The pitch looks very flat, I'll be honest. The pitch looks very, very flat indeed. And someone had mentioned previously about getting grass to look real. Now, we know, because we're talking about upgraded graphics, we're going to need more powerful laptops and machines to run to get the graphics to look smooth. Second you start rendering individual blades of grass, you need a powerful machine. So let's keep that as fairly flat grass for now. But you will notice that, though, when you see the players trying to run, and they still do look a little bit like they're sliding across and skating across. So loads of shadows over the top here for this big stadium concourse, which again looks quite nice. These opening presentations look pretty cool. I like that. This is the old what's this? This is Everton versus Aston Villa. A little bit of a kit colour clash, I would say, at this moment in time, but you know, we'll let that rise. Not the new Everton Stadium. Very, very close in terms of its design, though. So this one's got a bit of a glass roof on here, and you can see the background there, some big high-rise buildings, which looks lovely. We've got that presentation of the Premier League. We've got the referees shirts untucked. Now that's interesting, because referees usually want to make sure that everyone's shirts are tucked in. But these referees have decided, you know what, let's be a little bit more chilled out, and we're going to have our shirts untucked as well. You look unprofessional, and I also think that what is the world coming to when referees and match officials have coloured boots on? Game's gone, lads. Game's gone. I think what's also an interesting thing as well is, and again, we spoke about this on the podcast, generic goalkeeper kits. Generic goalkeeper kits. We need to get goalkeeper kits back in the game, don't we? I don't know if that's a third-party thing or not. But yeah, I wonder whether that's going to change in the lead up to main release as well. But yeah, generic goalkeeper. You've got everything else. You've got all the other licenses. Let's get some keeper kits in there as well. And I like this as well. Nice long sleeves on players as well. A bit of a mix-up, which I think is in this year's game as well. So that looks quite nice. And it looks, yeah, that's decent. I'm happy with that as my initial presentation. And then this, I'm a fan of this bird's eye view. Okay, now also as well, on the bottom here, we know it's not final, but that might be a little first look at what we're going to see down there. And that there's a little arrow there, so presumably we can minimise that and maximise that to then get our players' faces on the bottom, maybe get a little bit more information, possibly, or it might be the subs that is going to come there as you maximise that. We've got the Premier League licensing up here in terms of presentation. So yeah, that looks nice. That looks nice. I like the bird's eye view actually. That'd be great for your tactics. So lovely, really good. And then of course the crash zoom in, and the camera angles a little bit closer to the action than previous. I know you can of course move them around anyway, but as a default camera angle, these look a little bit closer to the action. A little bit movement inside is nice. Players calling for the ball again, which of course is in FM24. That's a cracking crossfield pass. Love that. Richer atmosphere, it says there. Now I wonder whether that means stadium sounds and matchday experience and fans. I would probably wager it doesn't. And I would wonder, in fact, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I reckon that even if you play in a stadium that's got 15 fans, I reckon it's going to sound like there's about 1,000 there. One thing I would like for future, and this is not really part of this video, I suppose, really, is I would like the sounds to be mastered out. So if you are the home team, you score, the cheer is going to be louder. If you're the away team, the cheer should be quieter, and it should be sat in a different layer of audio. And I'm going a little bit too heavy in here, aren't I? Most people play with sounds off, but for those people who have the sounds on, I think that'd be quite nice. I'd like that. So ball's played through. Good sliding tackle. That's nice. Bit of different animation there on that one. Good save near post. So players getting down. Overhead kicks always look good. Keeper saving with what looks like his knee there. Now, I like the fact the players there pulled out into the wing. Whips the ball in. This is a good animation again. Because what I like here is this guy here, the Manchester United player here, he changes his body shape in mid-air, which is really good to nod it down, which I quite like. Striker then picks it up, chests it down, and then volleys at the near post. So that feels like a jump. That feels like, you know, something new that we haven't really seen in FM24. And I know when FM24 came out, we all lost our minds when we saw Rabonas. We saw players like sort of calling for the ball and pointing to where it needs to be. So I am looking forward to seeing all these new little bits of animation that will get us off our seats a little bit. Keep us tipping the ball over the bar. That'd be quite nice. Again, I mean, Aaron on the podcast, by the way, has already picked fault with this goal, saying the defender needs to do better. Not sure that's quite the what's happening here in the video, but yeah, tactically, Aaron's already angry about that. He's also angry about the hitting the crossbar. Okay, that's a cracking little dink. Love that. Also, as well, I like this guy. Sad, his head's gone down as well. Yeah, play a bit of despair over here, That's what you want, innit? Bit of passion. One touch, volleys past everybody, great finish. And then this free kick, again, looks class. One thing I will say, though, is while we're here, and again, I talked about it on the podcast, and I sort of started saying something, then contradicted myself a little bit. The players, they don't look like they've got any features or anything on their face. They're not sort of easily identifiable. Now, whether or not that's an issue with trying to get players motion mapped on their face, and so when they move, that's a really, really difficult thing to do, probably a bit like the pitch, or whether it's just we're only noticing it now because the graphics are a little bit more enhanced. You do lose a little bit of that. Maybe I'm wanting a bit too much too soon, you know? Maybe that's part of the problem. But if we go back here to the presentation, look, they all look a bit, he's got, you know, these cold eyes of some of these players just staring, emotionless, soulless individuals. Maybe that's the intention, I don't know, possibly. Also as well, this Bournemouth Brighton Stadium, a little bit smaller, so that is a one-tier stadium, so we can see what things look like in different levels of world football, or at least in the Premier League, I should say. Like I say, I'm impressed with it. I'm impressed with what they've done, and I know it's not for everyone. What I'd like to see, and again, maybe this is me being a little bit too idealistic here, I'd like to see, in the match itself, I'd like to see mistakes. And I know FM23 was full of mistakes, and it was like chaos ball, and I loved that personally. But what I'd like to see is players jostling down the wing. Yeah, so say your winger's going down the wing, the fullback's on them as well, and between the tussling, I want one of them to slip over a little bit, and maybe the fullback slips and that allows the winger in, or maybe the winger slips and the fullback's allowed to clear. I want to see that. I want to see a player down the wing or in the midfield and trying to play a pass and they misplace it. They completely shank it one way. I want to see that. I want to see the ball drop to someone in front of goal and then they hammer it over the top. It happens in real life. We don't want it to happen all the time, but I want that extra level of realism. It'll be frustrating as hell, don't get me wrong, but I want that to be there because sometimes the match feels a little bit too... perfect's the wrong word, but the ball goes to the player brings it down, the player then moves off. In real life, a player will miscontrol a ball, yeah? And I want to see a bit more of that in-game. I don't want the ball to be over the top and the defender just not head it and stand still and watch it go over him. And I don't want the keeper to come out and the ball just bounce off him. And that's it. I want a little bit more. And if we're getting this Unity engine and we're getting this evolution in how it looks and how it plays, these are the things that I want Football Manager to consider adding into the game as we go into this new era of Football Manager. Let me know below, by the way, if that's the sort of thing you want, if that's the sort of thing you would hate to see in the game, because of course there is a counter argument that if you can't control it, then why would you want to see it? And it will be incredibly frustrating, but they have said in that trailer, more drama. And do you know what drama is? Your striker missing an open goal in the last minute of a cup final. That is drama. So the question now then is, what are your thoughts off the back of this teaser? Has it got you excited for FM26? Has it got you hyped? Has it got you a little concerned? Has it got you asking more questions? Has it maybe got you thinking, they waited 2 years and this is all it looks like? If that's what your thoughts are, let me know below. And as I say, let's see what comes next, right? Because I'm guessing this is only the start. We're going to start hearing more things as we ramp up towards FM26. It's starting to get exciting, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to be doing more videos about this. And then when FM26 comes out, we're going to be busy. So take care of yourselves, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.